up nicely. It's the Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. Yeah, they clean up nicely. Yeah.
Hey!
What's up?
The Daft Show returns. What up, punks? How's it going? Thanks for tuning in.
What's up, punks? Daft's punks out there. We appreciate you guys listening. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, we would appreciate it. Comment, like the videos, all that good stuff. Today, we're just going to jump right into it. We have a very special guest. He's worked with clients such as Jimmy Kimmel, Kanye West, Jay-Z, Ariana Grande, Diplo, Cardi B, and many more. He's done events for the Super Bowl, Victoria's Secret, VH1, Wedding Wire, The Knot. He's played all over the United States and super clubs in Las Vegas like Jewel, Foxtail, and Hakkasan. He's one of the founding three of the DJ Collective. He's a DMS editor. He's famous on YouTube. Please help us welcome Jason Jani.
Yeah.
Yo, that's pretty boss. Thank you. I still love your intro. I love you. I love all you do, both of you. You times two. But I love your fucking intro. That's dope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shout out to Phrase again. Phrase did that for us, and that's him singing and everything. It's pretty awesome.
Well, dude, thank you so much for making the time and being on here. I see you just about every day on YouTube, crushing the game over there, dropping bombs and nuggets and all kinds of knowledge, dude.
I appreciate it, man. I'm grateful to be here with you guys. That's it. That's all I gotta say. That's it. Interview over. Thank you. Good night.
We have a lot of questions for you, but I'm curious, how do the topics just keep coming and coming? Do you rely on all the comments? Because it seems like you just have great topic after great topic every day on the YouTube.
So I appreciate that. I mean, like, the YouTube channel is like a pleasure project for me, which sounds kind of weird. It's something that I feel like never existed when I was like coming up in the private event space or even the DJ world. So many people were like so not willing to share things that could have tremendously helped people like me when I was coming up. And honestly, the people that went out of their way, like, I'll never forget that. So like, I feel like it's my part to just share things that can help get people a little bit further, a little bit faster, save them time, energy, money, all the things, and hopefully avoid aggravation. So like, topics specifically are usually based on like real deal shit that I've learned or experienced or are going through at that point in time, or like lessons that are crossing my space through the SCE Event Group or through different, friends of mine. I'm just seeing people struggle with stuff, or they're coming directly from people that are supporting the channel and offering either like topics of things that they're struggling with or asking me for help with something. I'm like, yo, that would be a great topic to share with YouTube, the tube of you. And that's kind of like how all that rolls together.
Which I think is great, because I really feel that we need someone like yourself pushing the industry forward, just expanding people's minds. I know one of the main things when I first met you that put me onto another planet was just your use of DJ furniture. It was really game changing for me. I think before that moment, I thought I never really put the effort into it until it was brought to my attention when I looked at a picture. I was like, oh my God, what a fucking eyesore. And I know you're one of the main people that really put that out there. Hey, let's stop using tables. It's gross. We're to the forefront of the whole show. Let's look good.
It started with facades, right? Like glow facades, those front boards that weren't even acrylic. They were made out of fabric. And I embraced a company called Dragon Boards, like right from the beginning. And no one had anything like that by me. So I was like, oh, this is cool. And then as every other DJ soon, acquired all of this stuff and everyone started to look the same, furniture for me was like a natural progression. And it really was like based on what I was seeing used in like places. Like if we went to Tryst in Las Vegas, or you went to like some club and you're like, yo, they're not on a table. They're in a legit pretty DJ booth. And what about if we could make something like this portable and bring it to events? So like Jeff and I went nuts and we found Horrorboard first. And they were from Germany, and we figured out how to import it. And we got these big crates, and literally I remember the first time we ordered our first gear, the crate the two booths came in was bigger than a car parking space. And we went to go pick it up and we're like, holy shit, like how are we going to get this home? And like it just fit into one of the big trailers that I brought or that I had at SCE and I brought up there, thankfully. And we got it there. And then it was like, all right, well, how do we get this out of this trailer now? Because it's like this giant coffin. And we pulled it and we put it in front of the office. I'm like, all right, well, that's not going to fit in the office. So we got to unpack it in the parking lot. And here we are, two idiots, like pulling apart boards, pulling out this furniture. There's like traffic. People are honking at us. Like it was such a disaster. But honestly, that was like how it all started for us. And now to this day, I mean, that was like 10 years ago. And we're still like creating stuff and building stuff and just using all different kinds of stuff to make us look better. I mean, the presentation is the first thing people see when they walk in. Before they even judge you on how talented you are as a DJ, they're looking at what you look like, what it feels like. And the DJ booth to me is, if you were to go on an interview, you would wear a suit and a nice pair of shoes because you want to impress someone. So like the DJ booth is kind of like the same thing, just the working DJ version of that.
I don't want to go too far on that because I got many more questions for that, but I just want to praise you for your YouTube channel and pushing the industry forward. I think the industry needs someone like you guiding these new guys along about what is important, just the looks, just like what you just said. So invaluable. If you guys aren't watching his YouTube channel or subscribe to it, make sure you get on there because he's dropping tons of shit regularly. We like to start the show off with the rapid fire.
If you don't know, we just kind of ask a few questions that are, try to just answer them quick, one-word questions, and just whatever comes to the top of your head. Don't feel afraid to answer them any certain way. But we got our new video clips, so we're going to hit the rapid fire video. This is courtesy of Drew Pierce.
It's now time for rapid fire.
So, all right, we're gonna do.
They're a work in progress, but we're just trying to have some fun with it.
All right, awesome. So the last thing you listened to on Spotify.
My mix from last night.
There we go.
Oh wait, that's not Spotify. That's not Spotify. I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Works.
Well,
that
we'll
works.
take it. We'll take it.
What's your favorite thing to do when you're not DJing?
Eat sushi.
Oh,
Eat
man.
sushi.
All right. Well, I'm coming out to Jersey and we're going to sushi because that's my shit.
What is your favorite remixer or favorite producer?
Drew Pierce, fours in chat for Drew Pierce. Or Fusemania. Fuse and Drew. Double. Or phrase with that intro.
There we go.
All DMS.
Look at that.
All day.
What popular song that you should be playing makes you cringe and that you want to refuse to play?
Popular as in like new popular or popular
Whatever.
To the masses?
I always say mine's Shania Twain, Man, I Feel Like a Woman. Like it crushes in the bar, but it kills my soul and I die a little bit every time I play it.
Uptown Funk. Uptown Funk. A little part of me dies anytime I have to play that song.
All right, that's fair. I'm pretty sick of that one too. So,
have you cut that out of all your of your weddings unless it's requested, or is it still just you squeeze it in?
I will not. I try not to. That and Give Me Everything. I consciously will try not to play Give Me Everything. Coincidentally, fits into my top 5 in Serato. I'm just saying. We'll get there. We're going there.
All right. What is the best non-curse word, one-word insult?
I automatically go to fucker because that's like a really bad curse word. I don't know. Fucker. Fucker. No. I don't even have one. I don't even know.
All right, if your kids are around and somebody pisses you off, what do you say?
Fucker.
All right.
I don't even say fucker. Jerk. You jerk. I don't know. I don't even say that. I'm going to start saying that. Jerk.
All right, we'll move on. What's the go-to Jersey food spot by you?
Oof.
Like if someone comes to Jersey, where are you taking them? Where's the spot like you can only get it in Jersey?
Yo, the one thing you can only get in Jersey is what's called Taylor ham or pork roll. It's for breakfast. And like people, you can't even acquire it. Even in New York, they don't sell that shit. It's called pork roll or Taylor ham. And if you're listening to this, you're not from Jersey, you probably don't even know what I'm talking about. It's like a meat. It's like a hot dog like meat that is fried and put with eggs and sandwiches in the morning. And people eat that shit by like the pound. Pork roll. Somewhere for pork. I'll take you for pork roll. Pork roll and sushi. Let's go.
What is the most memorable night you've ever had in the DJ booth?
Playing the Super Bowl after party for the Eagles when they won.
We need to talk about that later, but those picks look so epic.
That was probably one of my favorites. That, and then Brian and I did an event together for Wedding Pro right after the shooting in Las Vegas, and we did it at Jewel, and that was another epic night where we both got to play, and it was like 1,800 deep in area at Jewel nightclub, and it was just one of those epic private events that was just cool. So they're both very high on the list.
We got one more question. What would you tell young Jason Jani?
Be patient, practice patience, and listen more. That's what I would tell people if they were me and they were able to go back in time.
All right, that's good advice. That wraps up our rapid fire for today. So those were the 8 rapid fire we had for you. Do you want to jump right into the Serato top 5, Drew?
Yeah, let's hit some Serato top
All
5.
right.
Let's talk music.
We got a Serato top 5 video too. Here we go.
The Serato Top 5.
That video is dope. I like that. That's good.
Jason's like, what the fuck is happening right now? This is the first time. You're the first one that's seeing these. I just did them all last night, so it's new.
Perfect.
It's cracking me
Awesome.
up too.
I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, is that LeBron James? I don't even know. Oh gosh.
This segment is not brought to you by Liquid Death, by the way. We are not sponsored by them, but we would like to be. If anybody knows anybody up at Liquid Death, hit us up. So,
Have you had the Liquid Death yet, Jani?
No, what is it?
It's water. It's just their marketing is absolutely genius. I know you're a fan of marketing and branding. I'm telling you, check out their website and just basically murder your thirst. The black cans are sparkling water. The white cans are regular water. They're trying to death to plastic bottles, so that's why the cans.
So good.
Totally.
Awesome.
But it's a little better than normal sparkling water because it's carbonated like a beer. So the bubbles are smaller. So it's like more drinkable. All right. Serato top 5.
We could go 1 through 5, or you can go 5 through 1, and however you want to do it.
Because I primarily do private events, Danza Kuduro.
Love that. It's a great one.
Yeah.
Do you play the English version, the Akon English version, or are you playing the all Spanish one?
Both. The one I have is actually an intro edit that's been like reworked and kind of rephrased.
Yeah. No, it's a jam. I play it. It's really high on my list as well.
I play it all the time too. At the club, at the bar. I feel like it's a good up-tempo song.
If I was to go with another one of like a staple, which I feel like is a great song just to like take the temperature of a room, especially if you're doing privates or corporate more than anything. But you can have fun with it if you get into like a weird right turn moment. It's a great anchor song, but it's a classic. Is "I Want You Back" by Jackson 5. That's
one of my favorite songs.
It's a great doozy to drop random.
You made a blend that I play all the time as a 24 karat magic with that. Are you referring to the original? Which version of the original? Because I have the discotheque one that I play. I know Scooter did a pretty awesome one, and there's a Z-Trip one.
There's actually I feel like that song has so many like different and interesting edits. I'm talking about like straight up OG record version, start from cold version. But I like Scooter's edit of that. He's got a great edit. I definitely like the discotheque edit is like more party. It's more like it drops a little bit hotter. And the 8-track version is like it's more like wavy, which is cool. But there's a lot of like even like troppy edits and Moomba edits. I did another edit of, I think I put on DMS a while ago, but I don't know if it's there anymore. It's Jump You Back. So I use like crisscross jump with I Want You Back, and it's like just a hyper blend of a lot of stuff. I use that, like I made that a while ago. It kind of like
that's a sample, right?
It twists a lot of different directions. You know, I took like something that like Diggs did, and then I like made my own version of that, and then I like extended it, and I'll have to share with you boys just so you have it. It's a classic, but it goes good because like people don't expect it, and then it's crisscross jump, and people are like, "Wait, what? Like, what is going on?"
I Want You Back's good. I play that all the time in a lot of different places as well. So I think that's a good one.
Number 3 would be This Is How You Do It, and I have like a Stendamix edit from like way back when that I like carved up and cut down a little bit that I use. So So it's got like a heavier beat into like the this is how we do it. Like I feel like that's another one. I hate to throw just all like classic shit out there, but like those tracks like hit like Aunt Sarah and Uncle Bill, and they also hit like younger people with the throwback stuff, you know?
No, totally. It's good because some of these haven't been mentioned yet by other people too, and it's funny to like what some people have mentioned and what they haven't, and these are all great.
4 would be Respect, Aretha Franklin, and I have a redrum that I did that I never share with anyone that I use all the time. That's really dope. That's a staple because I feel like in the private event space, even the corporate space, you can like rip into that. And the cool thing about that specific edit, which I probably should share, is has like a cool like beat intro, so it's easy to mix into, and then it just drops, but it doesn't even get into the RESPECT. It's already like out by then, so it's like a good segue. Like you're just dropping like the first verse really, and then you're out, and it's a good like get the girls moving and singing, especially if you're doing privates. 'Cause I feel like that too works for like Aunt Sarah and Aunt Karen. They love that song. Got to keep Aunt Karen happy.
I do love that song. I play that all the time. It's a great bridge, especially for the BPM it's at to, mix those lower BPM oldies into the higher ones.
And the final, I would say, is Dance with Somebody. And I feel like that song has been done so many different ways by so many different people. But if I just take the edit that I'm using out, I feel like there's like progressive edits, there's tech house edits, there's the commercial We Found Love edit that like Scooter and Dave did and all that. But there's so many other like really good edits of that song that I feel like that song just always ends up in a set. Even if I try not to play it, like people are asking for it. I can't get away from that song. It's like that and Give Me Everything. I Wish They Both Would Die. And even I Love It by Econopop. Like those songs, like 3 of them, I feel like I will do whatever I can do to drive the car the other way. People just pull it right back there. You got that, Whitney? I'm like, shut up. Pick a different song by Whitney, please. Like, and I love Whitney, but that song I just feel like everywhere, all the time. Everyone plays it. And everyone plays the same variations of it. So I've like made edits of some of those songs myself that I'd never sprinkled out there because I just don't want everyone to have the exact same edit that I was using, because like if you're gonna play the song, try to make it a little bit different,
Totally. I mean, that's part of the beauty of the editing is you want to bring it in and you want to use a track and the way that you use it so you don't sound like everybody else. And Drew and I always talk about on the show how, yeah, you might be able to find a lot of our edits and stuff we make on the website, but we have tons and tons of edits, and I'm sure you do too, that you just don't give out because they're your personal show edits. And that's what helps keep me sound like me and Jason Jani sounding like Jason Jani. So
yeah. And like even sometimes like you'll like, even if I'm doing a mix or I'm working in like Ableton, I'll like stumble on something and I'm like, yo, that would be good this way. I'm in the middle of one project, so I'm like right turn off into like the rabbit hole of like trying to work something out that I like caught an idea with. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep this, and I shelf it and I'll use it, whatever. And then I just sprinkle it out there after, you know what I mean? Like it's like afterwards, like after you use it for a little while, you're like, all right, I got to get rid of this because like if I don't, this is going to become a crutch forever. So let's give it out,
Totally. So that was number 5.
I was gonna just add real quick on the Whitney. Somebody needs to make a TikTok or a viral push for "How Will I Know" by Whitney, right? If somehow that could just get trending, "How Will I Know," then maybe we could start using that as a new big song.
No joke, Drew. Like the past like 3 parties I've played, they're like, "We love Whitney Houston." I'm like, oh, like not like hating on it. I'm just like, oh, of course you do. And then like I'll drop just the keys part of the beginning of like "How Will I Know," or it's that like the whatever. And then before the vocal even starts, I'm like already out of the song. So I give you like your sprinkle of Whitney sound, but didn't actually even give you the track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like I just like put the tip in for a second, and I was like, all right, forget it. Oh, yeah, it was like a little bit.
Just the tip.
Just
What are the other big Whitney? It would be "I'm Every Woman." What else could even fit?
Let's go to Spotify and see what the top 5 are.
My Love Is Your Love, right? But there's got to be like not like the trance 2001 edit of that.
Higher
right? Like,
Love.
Higher
Higher
Love.
Love.
Higher Love.
I Will Always Love You. How Will I Know? What's the other one I'm thinking of that was like in a movie?
Yeah, Jana, you did a "I'm Every Woman" bootleg that I play.
Yeah,
I have
that's
20
on
plays on
DMS
that.
right now. That still resides on DMS.
Yeah, I play that one.
Yeah, that one's kind of funky, right? That's just like it's like a housey edit.
Yeah. I think that Higher Love is what they're talking about. That Higher Love really did make a huge comeback. with that Kygo edit. I'm getting more and more people ask for how will I know, just because I think like we're all saying, they want to change it up from I want to dance with somebody, but it still just doesn't really hit. It's a second or third hour song.
Blah. It's like an opener. I feel like it's a good track, but like it's not gonna like stomp your party.
No, I agree. All right, Serato top 5. Any honorable mentions? Anything in there? Maybe a Jani bootleg that just sets the place off?
You know, I love like the Heaven is a Place on Earth edits, and I have done like a bunch of them. I think a bunch of them are on DMS now too. I feel like that's a good random that usually connects with Aunt Karen and Aunt Susan and Uncle Bill, but also like a lot of like the younger people hear it and they're like, "Yo, this is an oldie," but like it's not a terrible one.
The one that you did with Calling, that bootleg, I play that one all the time. It's a great one to play after if you're doing that House Whitney. It just blends right in there.
Oh, the one I was thinking of was "I'm Your Baby Tonight." That was the other
Oh,
Whitney
I'm
Houston.
your baby tonight. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Whatever you want for me, whatever. It's like, you know, you need a Fusamania bootleg hyper Frankenstein multi-track super flash.
Yeah, we need something with that. I'm throwing that in. The idea is great.
Yeah. All right, so a new topic we're going to let you kick off that we haven't really done with anybody yet. We're going to do a 60-second rant, and you can rant about anything you want for 60 seconds. I'm going to set a timer on my phone.
Wait, do you want to give him a quick second to think about what he wants?
I mean, there's a lot of shit I can just go off about. I could just
I'm going to set the timer. Yeah, 60 seconds. And we got a video for this too. Here we go.
great.
Shout, shout, let it all out.
We'll see if these end up sticking or not. Jani, I don't know. I think Jani might be like, what is happening right now? What did I get involved in?
All right, I'm going to let you pick a lane, and then I'm going to rip about it. I either want to talk about DJs being cheap and not supporting other DJs, or DJs like jacking, like the difference between having an idea and inspiration versus like straight jacking content and ideas and everything, like not being authentic. So I'll give you, that's some Jani spice, two different directions. You pick. We're going to spice up. You made a video. I give you two options. That's it. You pick a lane. I'm ready to drive.
Let's keep it simple and go with the first one.
I think, yeah. Okay. Yes. All right. What do you think? We're good on that? Yes.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
You need a countdown, like 5, 4,
right.
3, 2, 1.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Why is it that DJs are so fucking cheap a lot of the time? Why is it that DJs hold DJs back? DJs are DJs' worst nightmare. Like, if out of everything, out of everyone on the planet, out of every group of professions in the world, it seems to me that there are more DJs that limit the growth and prosperity of other DJs, because I don't know why. I don't understand why. I feel like DJs should support other DJs. DJs should be happy for other DJs. DJs should empower other DJs rather than hating on other DJs. I think there is so much complexity in this A-type world that we all share, and not every DJ is an A-type, but it would be such a better place if every DJ supported other DJs and uplifted and actually, instead of throwing shade at, actually threw out respect and threw out some love for the other DJs. I believe that DJs put the glass ceiling on top of the other DJs, which limits the growth for everybody. I think that's really like the message. Is that the timer? Are we done?
Yeah, that was the timer. There you go. You got a lot in there in 60 seconds, though.
I agree with you in that. How are bar prices still $250? Right? You know,
I don't understand. It's like, I can do it better for cheaper. Shut up. No, you can't. Like, no, you can't. And why?
Yeah, and you're just keeping the cycle going. The cycle of cheap just keeps going because you keep enforcing it, going back to it, willing to take that. So,
you know, like,
yeah,
when I started my
up.
business, everyone was like, yo, you'll never get what you want down there. No one has that kind of money. And I was like charging like $1,300 a wedding, and they're like, you're never gonna get that where you live. People are never gonna pay that. Like, like, who said that? Fucking DJs. The people that were like, yo, you should do that. Good idea. Like, support it. Not DJ. People that were like, yo, bro, that's a little much. That's a little rich for my blood. Who you think? What are you doing? No one's called DJs. People are like, bro, let me share your shit with my social media universe. Let me share your post with my MySpace community. If I know someone that's planning, let me put you in front of this person. Let me connect you. Let me make an email happen. Let me do this. Let me do that. Not DJs. People are like, yo, block, shade, unfriend, unfollow, hide, report post, DJs.
Totally, totally. So that's a great segue into how we kind of want to talk to you a little bit about the beginnings, how you started, and you just kind of mentioned that, when you did start, that people were kind of not people, the DJs were saying it's never going to happen. So if you don't mind, tell us, kind of rewind and go back into how you started and got into it and how SCE started.
Yep. I was always fascinated with like the art form and I think the job of being a DJ. Now, like when I was in high school, I was like really into wrestling. So I was like very like mechanical. Like I trained every day, I practiced every day. I was supposed to go to college and do this and like all these things. And when I, finished my senior years, I was supposed to go to college, all these great things. And I went to my first like teen club and I went out and I was like, this is like a whole nother universe. There's like girls here. It's not like whatever. It's just like I was beyond fascinated with it. And honestly, that started like my, I guess, quest for like understanding like what this nightlife space is all about. And that's really like where my beginning happened. Like there was a dude that kind of like took me under his wing and mentored me a little bit, kind of showed me the basics after I showed like great interest over kind of a couple of months or maybe even a couple of years or maybe a year or two. And then I just started getting lost in it and I started playing like more like trancey, like progressive style music. That was like what was big, and trying to blend two songs for like 3 or 4 minutes at a time and just make different things happen. And long story short, I started working in different bars and little Jersey clubs and stuff. And opportunities started to present themselves where someone basically was like, "Yo, I can give you this if you want to come and do this party with me." And it was like 10 times what I was making that night. So I was like, "Yeah, I could do that." And I was like, "Oh, but if you want me to do like the Macarena with your boss, like I'm not going to do that. I don't even know how to do that." And she's like, "Yeah, I don't want you to do that." And that was kind of like the start of the company. And then, I dabbled I put myself through college working as a bar DJ, like a small club DJ, and I did a lot of different things. And I put myself through my associate's degree. I got a real job. Then I put myself through my bachelor's degree and then my master's program. And I was a DJ on the side. I like couldn't shake it because I just enjoyed it. I feel like it was like that thing we all share where like you rock a room and like people are into the music and you're setting a vibe. And I had like a lot of friends that went out and it was like meeting different people, like girls and this and that. It was cool. I felt like important and I enjoyed it. And it got to a point where I started to settle down in my life and I had to like pick a lane. So I was like, all right, well, I can't like smash it to like 4 o'clock in the morning at a club and then report to work at 8 o'clock every day and do this like for a while. I worked like 5 nights a week and I was working full time as an engineering manager for AT&T and I had a ton of responsibility and I started to like pick and choose like my lane. And I started to also have a group of people that wanted parties that were not like based on like terrible line dances or like what I felt was like forced interaction. So it was more about the music. And that's like really how like my company started. After I kind of did that as a side project for a number of years, it got to a point where I was working with other companies and then I started to kind of almost be shaded out of opportunities because like the greed part of the business started to happen to me where people were asking for me. I was on Sirius. I had a mix show here. I had a mix show there. I loved doing it. And there was a lot of requests coming in for me. And that guy who owned the company was passing it off to someone that wasn't even with the company, like basically like taking the money off to the side. And I was like, yeah, that's not really like my vibe. So I'm going to respectfully like bow out of this and I'm just going to do my own thing. I didn't even like when I started SCE, I didn't plan for it to be a company. Like it was just me doing events, but I wanted to do it underneath like my own terms and not like, and to be able to take care of people that I think deserve better than what they were getting because like these people ended up circling back to me being like, yo, your buddy like sent me this dude who like couldn't even like he didn't even know what the fuck was going on, and for me that like broke my heart. I was like, these are like my friends and you like totally screwed them over, and by the way, the contract's nowhere to be found. Like, what are you doing? And I started my business and then we kind of like almost went viral because I was sharing a lot of content on YouTube because like everyone was like, oh, I want to come to a Jason Jani party. But like, if it wasn't a club, you couldn't come to a party. So I started recording with like this $600 hand camera. And some of these videos exist on YouTube today where you could see me like playing at a wedding with like track spot overhead truss. It was like me literally DJing. I had someone like holding the camera, and it took me like 5 hours to set up this wedding. And it was like 300 deep on the dance floor the entire night, like fog, haze, like all this crazy stuff that people just were like, what the hell is this? And then it slowly just like grew. And over time, those videos and that content started to kind of earn the respect and interest of some other people that I know that were from the club space. And this is like 2008-ish, 2007, 2000, 2008 to 2006. I would say between 2006 and 2008. And things started to like come together. And then, like I started to have relationships because of like the radio shows that I did in different places, and all these other opportunities started coming in. And then it was like, well, I can't even do all the events that are asking for me. So the guy that was supporting me on a lot of my events, I trained him to be basically like another person to go to. And then all these other people started coming to me, like Tony and Jeff Scott and Paul and Christian and all. And it was just like, all right, well, like as we pulled each one of those insanely talented DJs in, like the demand just got bigger because like we were doing more work. So it was like we had more opportunity. And
were those guys DJs before, or
yeah,
did you start training them as well?
No, they all worked they either owned their own company or they all worked together at a different company, and like one at a time they all came over because they weren't happy. Because like one thing that I always try to do with SCE is give people the framework of like professionalism, something that I think really lacks in a lot of spaces in the entertainment space, in the DJ space specifically. And what I try to do is give people the opportunity to thrive. So like if they had goals to let's say bring different services out, or to have more of one kind of party, whether it be fashion or wedding or corporate or nightlife, to not hold someone back based on like what I thought the company should do. It's kind of like, well, if you want to work for it, like we're going to work together. And there's like enough crossover here. Like if you can't do it, someone else will do it. And like everyone values a lot of the same foundation. And it was more about like not creating the opportunity where they were dependent on the business to live. It was like kind of, but like more of like they were dependent on the business to thrive, because together we can do so much more than if it was just one of us doing something, right? And like over the years, this business and this industry has taught me so much about people, about culture, about just things that it's taught me like so much positive about life and just different things. But it's also showed me like the true like dirty core of so many things too, like relationships that have been burnt, or people that have stolen from you or lied to you for their own like self-benefit. But like when you're in this for like, when you're all into this, I feel like that's the stuff that like over time will always present itself.
To move forward a little bit, is you guys are SCE is really known for its content, right? You were pushing a lot of this big, unique content out early, and I'd like you to just talk about that, because you said you started out with the camera and that's how it drew other talented people to you. And I know a lot of the guys on your team all really push their own content out, and you guys are all really good about that. How did that grow? Did you grow that together of, hey, let's all get cameras, let's really be pushing that? What made you, from an early standpoint, really realize that was going to be king?
At like the very base level, when people were coming up to me saying like, hey, I'm willing to I would love you to do my party. I've heard nothing but good things, but like, where could I see you? Because like I didn't have a $5,000 flash website like a lot of the other people had in my area. And they were
Flash.
right, like I didn't have that bougie shit. And then like my friends started going to get married, and then like I would go to these weddings. Yo, this is that company that I like literally was drooling over their website, and like this dude can't even match Show Me Love and Finally. He can't even match 2 songs together. How the hell is this a real DJ company? So like I was almost naive to like what reality was because I was looking at what people paid for. Obviously, if someone could spend $5,000 on a flash website, they have to be a good DJ. That's like how I thought. And I was like, I didn't realize like underneath the surface, there was nothing there. And that's where I saw an opportunity. So like for me, I started recording video because I'm like, yeah, I'm not scared to show you that I'm not doing the same thing every time I play a party. Like my parties are unique as the people, and people, when I first started sharing my YouTube videos, and like some of these videos are online where they don't even have, they have 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 views from 2008, right? Or 2006. And like, you literally see the story, but like, for me, people were throwing so much hate at me. They're like, how could you show people your secrets? I'm like, my secrets? I'm like, I played a party, and like tomorrow's party's gonna be totally different. But at that time, people were going in like, this is my set. Like, I'm gonna play this song, and then I'm gonna play this song, and then at this beat, I'm gonna hit this there, and my Denon 2100 is I'm gonna move from like this to this, and then they're gonna dance, and after the third song, I'm gonna play a slow song, and like that's what the world was. I hate to say that, but this is real, and I'm like coming from the club world where I'm like, yeah, like I just mixed for 8 hours back to back records, and I peed in a bottle because I couldn't even go to the bathroom, and like you can't even mix 2 records together. Like what is going on, you know? And then honestly, I'm not throwing shade because there was people then that were very talented DJs that were working and like very successful, but there was more air than there was substance. So I started doing content to show couples or clients or people that were interested in me that like it was different, not just a conversation different, like it was for real different. And in doing that, I earned the respect of a lot of people that I had so much respect for and admiration for in our local area. And I remember like Tony called me and he's like, man, maybe we can collab up on an event sometime. And I'm like, wait, you want to work with me? Like, I was so, because I used to go to Tony for my drops at my radio show. And he's like, yeah, maybe it's time for like a switch and a change. I just love what you got going on. And Tony will tell you this story to this day. And it was just like, wow, like that like blew my mind. I'm like, Tony T. Netto, like, you know, he's a legend. And I'm like, this is like a dude who I've had a relationship with. I know him. And then.
Oh, I have a question about that actually, because I saw a picture recently that you posted. It was Tony's birthday, and you know this is before at least the rock star Jani, like you know, always swagged out. When did this flip happen?
A V-neck sweater wasn't swag, bro. Come on, no.
No, I saw the picture and I was like, whoa, you know, I'm not used to seeing you like that. And I'm just saying, when did this flip, right? Because I see Jani now and you're always swagged out, even at your weddings, bro. White sneakers, and you know, you're going for it, right? You're pushing it forward and getting rid of the cummerbunds. But that picture was old school, right? You know what I'm talking about, right?
That was probably from 2011 or 2012, and I think that was at my birth. I did like a birthday party or something then, and like whatever, like, or it was a holiday party or a company party, and I brought everyone together. I'm like, you can bring whoever you want. Like, I thought we were so successful because we just made however much money. Like, I didn't even look at how much profit was actually made. I was like, we have we have $1 million in sales. We need to have a party. Like, I was so like dumb when I was younger, you know, and like I was like, all right, whatever. And honestly, like this whole journey has taught me so much, and like that's why I did the YouTube channel, because I'm like, yo, if I could like share stories that help someone, even if I just help one. I shared a video the other day. It was about inclusivity, right? And it's about being sensitive to how you deal with couples that are of the same sex, right? Or of neutral sex, or they're not a typical bride and groom. And I say that typical meaning like the traditional wedding fabric, right? And it's like, there's like 3 things that like you need to pay attention to, because like to this day, and people that are successful, I see like talking about shit online. I'm like, yo, that's offensive. I'm telling you, I'm not gay, but like I have friends that are gay. They communicate to me, and couples have communicated to me. Like, we went on this website. You're like the 5th website we went on, and you were the only one that supported what we believe in. Like, we felt welcomed with your verbiage or what we saw. To me, that's an issue, because this is a universe of people that exist in the world today. And like our almost like dinosaur thinking DJ world is not understanding culture and like the progression that has happened, because they're stuck in 1995. You know what I mean? So like I shared a video because like if I have one DJ company that changes the way they talk to someone and like they help someone support their love journey, then then there's purpose in that. So like the 2 hours of time it took me to rip that 5-minute video, that helped someone, and I feel like good about myself that I paid it forward, and then like it benefited someone in a positive way. And I didn't monetize it. Like it was for free. Like it's no cost, right?
I stopped saying ladies and gentlemen and really try and be proactive. We're in 2022. It is time to change the narrative and just push everything else forward.
I mean, like you could say ladies
It's a
and
great
gentlemen,
video.
but like people are like, oh, it's time for our bridal party. Well, like if you have
Right.
two guys, like it's a wedding party. It's not a bridal party. And if it's two girls, they might not want to call it a bridal party. They might be very sensitive to that too. You got to like think about what you say. That's like one very little lesson that people could incorporate into their world and change the space for the better. And like, just think, if I can magnify that voice times 1,000, times 5,000, we all grow forward together with that. So like, that's the purpose of that. And honestly, like I look back at like the past 2 years with COVID, right? I got to a point with COVID where I was like, literally, I felt like I was so grounded. I was so humbled by the pandemic and the situation that I was put into as a result of the pandemic and executive orders and guidance and all this stuff. I started my channel because I was going to lose my mind and I needed like an outlet. And I'm like, every time I've ever grown from a professional perspective, not being self-fulfilling, but like was because I took a risk and I shared something that I maybe felt like it was almost like uncomfortable to share. And I love teaching. I love like sharing like that. I love like, like learning. I feel like that's like part of, if you can do that, like you'll always kind of progress in this industry and stay relevant. And I was like, I need to do this not just for like people, but I needed to do it for myself because I feel like I need a space to put my mind so I don't like literally drive myself off the cliff, And
To interrupt just a little bit, is that pre-pandemic, I can only imagine when the pandemic actually hit, because pre-pandemic, you're an alien. I mean, you were doing mixes for Fit Radio, you were doing DMS remixes, you're running your company, you're DJing. I mean, I don't even know how many weddings you were DJing. One of our questions was how you balance that work life pre-pandemic, and now that you were able to stop and focus, how you're dealing with it now post-pandemic.
So that's a really good question. I think pre-pandemic, like I didn't deal with it. And honestly, it cost me like my family, or it didn't cost me my family, but it cost me like a lot of personal struggle that like I had to go through. I like, we had a challenging marriage and I hid in work because I wasn't happy and I didn't want to deal with the realities of my circumstance, right? So I buried my life in work and I hid in work because it was the only thing that really brought me joy other than my children. And it was like, in 2018, I did like 235 events. I played in like 17 or 18 states, and I played 5 different countries. I mean, like I was at it every single day. And on top of it, I did 100 mixes for different radio stations. I did I think I did 200 blends or edits for DMS at that point. I mean, I like literally lived for work. All I did was I worked 90 hours plus in the office every week. And then I performed and I like set up all my gear just like everyone else. And I'm doing all this stuff and I made so much money. It was awesome. And I didn't spend it. And then the pandemic happened. And at first it was like shock. And then it was like mourning. And then it was like deal with it. And I went from like thriving and living, like sitting on top of the mountain, I always say, to like literally being in the trenches and like dealing with like critical care management, right? And that's something that I think my previous work world prepared me for, because like if I didn't have that background, I don't know where I would be today. And honestly, like I think COVID hurt so many people in so many different ways, and so many people were lost, and so many people lost people that were close to them. And as shitty as it would be to say out loud and to put on the interwebs and podcasts and YouTube, like the pandemic for me was a blessing. It allowed me to like regain my life, and it allowed me to almost appreciate what I couldn't appreciate in the past, because I had to appreciate like time and energy and my children and my relationship with Lauren, who's like my new everything, right? Like it allowed me to like look at things and take a step back, a painful, expensive step back. But like that hard reset, it taught me everything I think I needed to hear, but I wasn't willing or able to listen to it, and today it's like balance is a priority for me. Like I'm, I've had to raise my rates because I can't do as much. I have to say no more. I'm off on this coming Saturday. I'm so looking forward to, being off. And like I'm not lazy. Like I'm not doing it because like I want to just like kick back and like smell the fruit or whatever, smell the flowers or whatever. Like I'm doing it just because like I feel like my time is so valuable and I appreciate my time more than ever. I respect my time. And I have so many projects going on between learning, between DJ Collective, between all the things that I want to do in my life. And I have kids and I have a girl and I have a house and I have a dog and I have,
Yeah.
employees and like things that need my time. So like in the end, you have to be happy and you have to be okay with the sacrifices. And for me, I've realized that I'm willing to sacrifice like to live my dream, but at the same time, like I need to make sure like me living my dream doesn't hurt the people that are closest to me and in a
Totally.
negative way, hurt them from living theirs,
Ferris Bueller said it best. Life moves by pretty fast, and if you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might miss it. And that's basically what you're saying, that you got to take a break and to enjoy what you already have. You said that you were doing alone that you did 240 something events. That's insane. Insane.
It's
I
it's not
mean,
it's not sustainable. That will put you in the ground over time. And I was doing that like I felt like I was training my body to like endure this like stress that was almost not necessary because like I was taking things I shouldn't have been taking. And I was taking things that like I didn't even really want to do. And I would do and I'd be like maybe I shouldn't have flown out here to do this job. But like I said yes. And like I just wanted to grow and be bigger and bigger. And then like at the end, you got to look at this and be happy with it. You can be the biggest thing on the planet and you can have the most successful company and you can be someone that everyone knows. But like if you can't share that with anyone, like what is it why? Like what are you doing it for? You know what I'm saying? And like it's not about someone. It's about like you have to figure out what you want in your life. And I don't know. I look at my daughter, right? I used to do this radio show for K Hits in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was on from 2005 to 2008, and I used to do it all the time. And Oreo, who's like the dude who brought me into that, he's a subscriber to DMS. Shout out to Oreo. He's still in like the Tulsa area, and he still does radio there. But he used to bring me in for the lunch mixes, and I would do like one mix, and I was doing like 5 mixes, and I was doing like long mixes, then I was doing Saturday night, and like it was through Clear Channel, so like check always came, and it was like I was like making like little side money, and it was all good. But I remember my daughter was born, and I used to like put her in my little office studio, and I would like do these mixes. And at that time, I was doing everything live. It wasn't like I can go into Ableton. I used Sony Acid at that time, but like I didn't know it like that. My mixes were on like Crooklyn and Crack and Your Remix and all the other sites that existed way back when. And I didn't have like the technical know-how to like build the mix. So I would do everything live, and I brought my daughter, who's now 15 years old. I brought her into the studio. And she would just sit there. And then all of a sudden, I remember I was doing a mix, and I looked down, and my daughter was like 3, and she was like, "All right, Daddy, it's time for a dance party." And I literally would do my mix, and it was like Ti and all this like 2008 ratchet hip hop like at that time, and like all the Ella, like all that stuff, right? And like I remember I looked over and like my little Lexi was standing on a box and she's dancing, and I'm like, huh, like she just got like she's older now. Like she knows like the words a little bit. And then I look at my daughter now and she's like in high school and like a little lady and like she's like a lady, like for real, not even a little lady. Like and I look at her and I'm like, holy shit, like that seemed like it was yesterday. And like the time in between her dancing on that little box in my studio, me being on 106.5 in Tulsa, Oklahoma and surrounding to like her being now a freshman in high school literally was like a blink of the eye. And like I've learned a lot throughout that time and I experienced a lot and I'm proud of a lot, but like that seemed like it was yesterday. So like you are 100% right. If you don't like take on, respect and cherish the time you have, you get that bus that you're on. Jesse Esler said it the best, right? Like everyone has a bus. You get on that bus, the bus doesn't stop. It just keeps going. So like when you're on that bus, you need to make sure that you're doing things that make sense because like one day that bus is going to hit the wall and then your time's up. You know what I mean? Like, but the bus never stops,
Well, post-pandemic, then you've had a chance to rethink. Like I think a lot of us, we're all doing things online, and we don't have to fly across the country to just get our fix with putting entertainment out and mixes out and all that stuff. We could do it at home and online. So what's a
Love it.
day in the life look like for Jani now post pandemic? You know, do
Um,
you have office hours? You set specific office hours where you walk out of the office no matter what, and then you go spend time with your family and your kids. Because working from home, I do feel it's easier and harder to set those blockers.
So I'm doing this from my new office, but I don't spend a lot of time here. I'm usually home, and I usually work out of my home office because I could do more, and I'm relevant. I can go upstairs, I could have lunch, I could go for a walk. My days are typically almost the same, whether I'm in my house or I'm away for work or whatever. And I try to wake up, and I try to wake up early. For me is like 8 o'clock. That's like usually when my body alarm goes off, like if I'm sleeping in. And I try to work out every day. That's like a priority for me that like I haven't been able to do over the past year. And I put on like that COVID weight that like I shouldn't have on my body. I've always been in really good shape. It got a little heavier. I'm like getting a little bit older. I'm like, I need to take care of this. So it's a priority for me now. And I've been on this fix for a little bit now, but I wake up, I try to train or do cardio or just get my body moving every single day, 7 days a week. And then I get into my routine, my coffee, my going through my emails, putting out emergency fire, connect with my office team, connect with the hosts, like whatever issues I have, prepare my events, whether I do creative content for YouTube, a mix, an edit, or I'm working on another project for that needs to get done for the business. Like I have an allocated time of the late morning, early afternoon. That's like for that. I have dedicated hours every week for meetings, and it's not negotiable. Like if someone doesn't fit in that time slot, like they need to wait to the next week. And like I have a backlog of a couple of weeks for someone to meet with me, but like it is what it is. Like if someone cancels, I'll fill the space. And then, you know, like my week from Monday to Sunday differs with work. So like if I'm here, it's one thing. If I have private events, you know, obviously that changes the dynamic. If Mondays and Tuesdays, I try to always go home and spend the evening with my sons. And like when Lauren is there, like I try to put a lot of time with my family. Every Sunday morning, we have a family breakfast together. You know, like I always try to make time to do stuff. And you know, Thursdays, I always try to go on spend a little bit of time with like Lauren and I would go out and do like adult things. So like I have like some type of balance where I never had that before. I worked, you know, 7 days a week, like all day, every day. Like, and now I'm like, okay, well, these are my times to meet with you. If you don't fit in that time or it doesn't work for you, it is what it is.
I can't say how important adult time is. You know, me and my wife, that's one of the main things we've always said. It's day one. Kids are important. You always have to watch the kids. I mean, you brought it up, just watching your girl grow up. It goes fast. You have to do it. But once the kids are gone, you still got to have a relationship. So having adult time and making sure you do stuff to further your relationship is super important. Totally.
Well, it's like, well, it all matters. Like all of that time. And like, you know, like people, doesn't matter who it is and who's listening to this, like and I'm not like being soft, but like everybody needs love, and like dudes need it, girls need it, like everyone. And if you don't get it from like who your partner is, you're going to go and seek it from someone that's willing to give it from you. And like over time, like you'll realize that. And like if you're with someone and you're seriously with somebody, like, you know, like you have to pay attention to like what they're saying to you, and you have to listen. And that's not, this talk is not about love or whatever, but like the importance of balance and keeping things like healthy is super important. If you want to be successful in this business, you need people on your team, and like you need to have a supportive partner that's willing to deal with the complications and complexities of this world that we all share, because it's not easy to be the spouse or the partner of someone that's in this industry at times. And whether you're just an owner listening to this or you're a working DJ in the club and you're not even doing private events, like, you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like it's unforgiving. And if the bigger you get, the more money you make, the more money you charge, the busier you are, the more complicated it gets. And like, you have to always keep that in mind, because I believe that's a big like life tip. And people always told me, like, when I was coming up, like, oh, make time for your kids, make time for your lady, like, da, da, da. And like, I never listened to them. And I regret that for like my children part of it. You know what I mean? And now I'm like, hey, you know what? Like I learned after COVID, now my life changes, and I'm never going to be one of those like old crusty dudes that like regretted everything they've ever done. Like I want to like live a life I'm proud of, you know, and that's part of it, you know?
Totally. I one of the things that I want to say is like, I feel like the business, like you said, it's very there's a lot to deal with, and we're entertainers and we're DJs, and I think it's hard because somebody's always wanting something from us. Like no matter what we do, no matter where we go, on a small scale to a large scale, somebody always is wanting something from you. And it's hard to balance that, and having somebody, that can help you with that and understand that is really important. And we have some other questions we want to kind of segue to, about kind of SCE. Drew and I posted a picture of you and asked other DJs, kind of some things they want to know from you. And well, you already said in 2018 you played over 200 events. How many events per year does SCE do as a whole?
2000.
2,000 events. Where did the name SCE come from?
Originally, it was Sound Connection Entertainment, and we went through this whole branding thing. And part of that happened at a time when I was working on the Watch the Throne tour with Kanye, and we were going through this whole branding exercise, and had a conversation that like led my mind to like turning, and we kept I kept the SCE from Sound Connection Entertainment because it's like the root. I believe that like you always keep like your roots intact, and I think we do events. We don't just do parties or not just DJs. We like produce events. And at that point there was a group of 5 of us that were like contributing to the success of the entity. So it was like kind of like just breaking it apart and like making it work. And I did like a legit like name trademark, search legally. I paid like $5,000+ to have an attorney rip through and find anyone and everyone that ever used the context of event and group together in a descriptive to align or to provide entertainment services. And there was no one that did it at the time. I have the legal record to show it, and we went through and trademarked the name. And now it's like, it's quite humbling, but it's also really like interesting to see so many different like quote unquote event groups around, and you know what? I'm not throwing heat at anyone. I'm not throwing shade at anyone, but like to me, I look at that and I'm like, wow, like we stirred the pot enough that like people literally changed their name just to like kind of embrace like what I was kind of going through in a different way. It's just very, and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm the guy, whatever. Like I don't mean it that way. I mean it like humbling. Like it's really like insane to know that before that there was none, and now they're quite like you can see them everywhere. You know what I mean?
Totally. And one of the things I want to say before we go on with SCE that I think is really cool is you guys all seem to do a really good job of what Drew mentioned earlier is posting content, but you also have a really awesome core group of super talented DJs. So not only are you guys doing and creating these awesome events, when somebody gets an SCE DJ, you're getting a real DJ who knows how to DJ well, and it's not just some random guy that you've trained. And I think that's one of the coolest thing about you guys, that everybody's kind of in their own lane, but like all doing it very well and pushing each other and getting the best out of everybody that you possibly can.
I appreciate you mentioning that. I mean, like for me, I never wanted to like clone me, right? Like I wanted to have people that could be similar, but like at the same time had their own unique strengths, because like not everyone wants to work with me, and not everyone wants to work with Demand or Christian or Jeff Scott or Tony. So like everyone has their quirky nuances that make them, and they attract their client, their ideal client. And like that's really like what it's all about. For me, it's like having the structure and professionalism of the entity SCE, but giving everyone the ability to almost like build and nourish their own brand underneath the umbrella. And then the sky is the limit. There's no like glass ceiling where we are. Like you want to do 500 events a year, like I will give you whatever I think the plan is to get you there, and I will help you support it and make sure that you are good to go on every one of those events. You want to do 50 events a year? You want to do 10 events a year? No problem with that either, right? We'll come up with a plan and we'll literally design it and fill it. And obviously, depending on like what the plan is for each person, every single DJ at SCE basically is responsible for their own success or failure at this company. And I will never be the one to control that for someone. I meet with every single DJ at the beginning of the year, and I'm like, what do you want to do? Give me what you want to do this year. Give me what you want to do next year. Give me what you want to do in 3 years from now or 5 years from now. Tell me where you want to be pricing wise. Tell me what kind of events you want to do. Tell me what you want more of or what you want less of. Literally, that defines where we move from there for that person. And I have 12 different guys that do this full time, and they each have their own goals and aspirations that are very different than each other. Some of them fall in the same line. Some of them are like so bipolar, like North Pole, South Pole. And that's honestly why I think we've been able to be successful, because it's not like dictated by the company. It's dictated by the person. In order to achieve that, you have to do more work. In order to make that, you have to do more work. You have to learn this. You have to nourish this. You have to, embrace this technology. And like media, I think everyone saw the success that I had getting all of this attention with media from an early stage. And that is why everyone has embraced it and learned it. And guys that are newer to the group, they're all like hot on learning how to use a camera, how to take good pictures, how to train their people to do good picture photos, not just your iPhone stuff, how to like capture content with media. Like how can we position that media to sell what it is that they're good at? I don't care if you can't mix spot on every time, you're better on the mic. I'm going to show that off because that is important to somebody out there looking for what we do. It's just like, how do I tell your story the right way so it connects with the right people? Because I never want to like align the wrong client and the wrong host. I want it to always be like in line. You want to be a club DJ, this and go from there. Sorry, I keep going on and on, but
maybe you could give a tip or a trick to somebody that is going by themselves. Should they hire somebody to rock the camera for them? Should they set up multiple cameras across the room to get their content? What's something that you can maybe tell people that are listening to get that content, right? Because it is, I know for a fact, I was on a call last night. It is invaluable how much a little video of you rocking that crowd will put you at a higher price and just sell. It sells itself. You don't even have to say anything.
I don't care who is listening to this, where they're located, what they do, how many days, months, weeks, years, fucking decades they've done this. If you are a DJ that is working in public, I don't care if you're making $200 a night or you're making $25,000 a night, you should have someone with you that travels with you to every single appearance, even if you don't make money, to capture content. It's the only way you're going to grow. And that's like hands down from my heart. There's been times where it's literally cost me money to go to work, but I did it because I got the content and I was able to position that content. The content had more value to me than the $1,200 I would have made that night doing whatever party it was, right? Or like if it was $300 and it was a club thing and I knew I wanted to like market this new little thing I wanted to do on Wednesdays, the value in that content, because if you can get good content and you can like share it with the world, you'll build so much wider, so much faster. If you're a DJ in the club game and you're trying to pack your bar, no one's going to fucking come to your bar until they see shit on TikTok or Instagram or posts of like what's going on in that bar. They want to see what the girls are doing in that bar, what the guys are doing on that bar. If people are standing up on the bar squirting champagne, they want to see that stuff. You as a DJ can't possibly do it all. If you're a DJ watching this, even if it hurts or stings, and you don't have to do it maybe like every time you're going out, if you know it's going to be a dud, whatever, but like you should always have someone there with you, whether it's a friend, you're paying $30 for the night just to come and I'll buy you drinks tonight, just get a couple of pictures or videos of me, or you are literally paying someone with like legit equipment. You should have someone with you recording content. Or if you can't do that for whatever reason, invest in gear that can capture content like that Fusemania 360 Insta thing that he does, or like buy the tools that allow you to capture content, because that content is worth so much more than the money you're going to get for that one event. If you can get the right content, you can multiply that event numerous times, even on different days, and even get more money if you're able to show that. We've earned opportunities because we got the right content. Hands down. People don't even question it. They're like, oh, let me see what you do. I'm like, literally, like, what do you want me to show you? My iPhone has 40,000 photos in it or videos. What do you want? What do you want to see? Like, I'll share with you whatever you want to consume, you know?
Speaking of content, you did that. We touched on it earlier, that Super Bowl thing. And I know you had the whole team was out there. And anytime I hang out with you, the team's always with you. So I know these are facts. And he is not fucking lying about this. Because anytime I hang out with Jani, there's always someone with a camera and someone else trailing behind us. So we've all
paparazzi, famous person coming through.
Shout out,
Like
Bert.
I know
Shout
Drew
out
and I know
JSG.
Drew and Fuse. I know these guys. I know them.
So I know these are facts. So you did that Diplo thing we went on it earlier, and you brought these guys with you. So I know it's a side story, but I wanted to hear about that party. You got to play with Diplo. You were on stage. Maybe just a little bit of maybe a touch about how it all came about, the party itself, because that was huge, man.
The one thing I think the lesson I could draw to anyone about that opportunity is that opportunity was birthed out of an opportunity that started 10 years before that party actually happened. That opportunity started with me getting hired to do a networking party at a casino that I wanted to build a relationship with in Atlantic City, and it was called the Water Club. The Water Club was like the VIP club for the Borgata. The Borgata is like the MGM property of Atlantic City. It's like where a really big club is. It's called Premier. It used to be Murmur. It's like it's like the spot. It's like at the time 10 years ago, it was like the by far the nicest place to go down there. It was like the most respected place to go there. So I wanted in with this group. I go in there to do a networking party. They didn't give a shit who I was or even what I was playing, but I was hired to play this party. It was like $300 a plate to attend, and all they did was serve cheese from France. I came with my turntables. I came in with two Bose towers. I set up on the table so everyone could see the turntables. I was playing like melodic house in the background. I was just playing like cool wavy vibes, and then I played like throwback hip hop, and I was like actively playing it like I was playing like a warm up set in a club with no dancing. People were like accountants in suits and whatever, and I earned the attention of the I guess the sales director. And she was like, "Oh, this is really interesting. Like a lot of DJs we have just like come in with their like laptop, and I don't know. They maybe were playing on PC DJ. I have no idea what they were playing on. And like you actually brought like real turntables, and you're like really mixing here. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I played that room not like I was going to rage the room, but I played that room like as if it was 1,000 people at a pool party, right? Like it was just like a vibe, and I wanted to play cool. At the end of the night, I'm like, well, that was fun. And I'm like, no one's ever gonna call me again from this one party. But over time, I kept a relationship with that girl, and people move around in this industry. Another thing, always keep positive relationships with everyone you come in contact with this industry, whether they're washing dishes in the kitchen, whether they're mopping up the floors, whether they're shaking someone's hand or taking the check from someone. You always keep positive relationships with everyone you come in contact in this industry. Long story short, doing a bunch of work, and one day I got this random call from this girl, and it was the same girl. And I love this. I mean, like, I'm so grateful. She's like, I always followed your story. We're on Facebook together, and I follow you on Instagram. And I'm so proud to see like all the things that you have going on. You're sharing content that's connecting with her, right? And she's like, I just got this new job a couple years ago, and my boss is essentially not happy with the entertainment they've had for the holiday party. Would you be interested in doing this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, like whatever, if I'm open. And she's like, yeah, it's like this wedding. It's like a Friday in December. I'm like, yeah, I've got nothing going on. I'm happy to do it in Philadelphia. I'm like, no problem. It turns out to be the team party for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was working directly for Mr. Laurie. So I get there, I'm like, I'm like legit in the studio, in the stadium. I'm like, who is this for? Like what? And I'm like, holy shit, like those are definitely not like regular humans. Those are like football players, like they're giant, right? Yeah. And we do this party, and like it was good. They were happy. The owner's wife was dancing, like the players were dancing, like it was cool. I was like shaking. I don't follow people. I don't know who anyone is. I'm like, this is insane. So right. Like the next year they called me back for another holiday party. I'm like, this is cool. This will be like an annual thing. They were happy. The next year I didn't get the call. I'm like, shit. But I wasn't like reaching. I wasn't thirsty to keep this relationship open. Whatever goes on.
It's the 2 or 3 year mark with the holiday parties. I don't know what it is. It's just, it always hits a wall. 2 or 3 years. It doesn't matter. They think they want something new, but a good DJ will always bring them back after the fourth when they realize it's bad.
So I did another party for them. They go on, they win playoffs. I'm working out. I knew they win. I knew they won the night before. I didn't even think about it. My phone, it's like 8:10. I'm like literally working my chest in the gym. I'm like on the bench with dumbbells, and I got my phone rings, and it's this girl who's like a friend of mine. I'm like, what's up? Are you okay? And she's like, phone disconnects. I'm like, okay. Then she gets a text. I get a text. It goes, what would it cost to bring you to Mini? That's what she says. And I'm like, Minnie, like Walt Disney World? Like, this is weird, you know? And then I literally Google, I'm like, Minnie February. And it was like Super Bowl, L whatever,
Yeah.
Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm like, holy shit, the Super Bowl. And I was just like, what do you mean what will it cost? Like, what do you need it to cost? Like, whatever I can do, like, I'm in.
Right?
And she's like, I don't know, I can't make any promises, but like I'm responsible for like our party, and it will either be like a division championship party or a Super Bowl championship party. And I'm like, oh cool. She's like, yeah, we're looking at a couple different options. We're thinking about like Drake. We're thinking about like whatever. And I'm like, what? And she's like, there's also this DJ.
I
I
haven't
don't know
heard
if
of
you
that
know
guy.
him. There's this DJ. I don't know if you know him. His name is Diplo. He's like he like went to Drexel. He's like a Philly guy. I'm like, Diplo? I'm like, okay. And she's like, yeah, we're gonna do like another artist too. Like, I don't know, maybe like a female. Like all the players like this Cardi B, or like they like Nicki Minaj. It'll be like one of them. And I'm like, what? I'm like, long story short, they were like, the phone call came in, it was like, you're the guy. Like, we would love to have you. Like, you could play for the player, but you could also play for like marketing investors, whatever. And then, Scooter's a big fan of Philadelphia. He's like, I got tickets, but I got tickets to go out there, but I got no tickets to the game. I'm like, I can't help you with the game. I'm like, but if you want to come and kick it with me, you can come to the party. I'll get you into the party. I'll get you whatever. I called my neighbor who was there. I got those guys in, and I was part of this party that was like epic. I brought Jeff Scott from SCE to do like my media and to support me there. And we had a great time. We went to the game, and then we played the party, and it was just a wild, wild ride. And the next morning I woke up and I flew to Des Moines, Iowa to do planning for Mobile Beat, which is the old next show, right? Where I was the entertainment director and the onstage DJ for years. And then I went and I worked in Des Moines, Iowa for like 4 days. And then I like came home, and it was like, I went right back into that. I was like, but now I had the Super Bowl party underneath my belt. So like everyone was coming at me sideways. Like, when are you open? We'll book you for that Tuesday night you have next month. Like, and it was just
Right.
like,
So another big thing that you guys do with SCE, one, I mean, Super Bowl, no big deal. I've done 10 of those. So we don't need to talk about that anymore. You guys do SNL.
that's another account. And it's like, I believe that the success in this industry is like to empower others, and I believe that success in this industry is keeping like valuable relationships. So like SNL came about from another opportunity that opened up another opportunity that was like, hey, we need you to do this pool party wherever, that found us from a Bloomingdale's event that we were doing for like whatever for 3 hours on a random Saturday, that opened up an opportunity to play this pool party where the girl liked the DJ, that brought us to WrestleMania. And then from WrestleMania, it took us to doing stuff at Universal for like family stuff, which then was like, we need something to do with the crowd for COVID, because like we can't have a lot of people, and they're like essentially like extended cast members, and we need to provide an ambiance for them before they go into the recording. So we started doing that in the beginning of COVID, and we did 2 full seasons at this point. And the artists on stage, they noticed the difference between when we were present and when they weren't. They could tell the difference of having the crowd warm versus going in basically with no entertainment. They felt they were in a different space. They could interact with them better. They felt that the people were more responsive to the jokes, and things were landing better. It wasn't even that the management saw it. It was like at the request of the talent on air on the show, basically solidified that relationship. And then we manage it now. Every Saturday they're shooting in, I think it's like 12 episodes per season. And Christian from our team leads that charge because he's very close to it. He's very good with it. He's got a great relationship with the decision makers there. So like, I've interacted with them at a high level. I've done them myself, but like, we're able to spread it around our family and give everyone the opportunity to do something a little bit different, but also with like some social media clout, because like, it's just not every day that you can go and play for like, and such a heavy show that's been on blast on Saturdays since the beginning of time. You know what I mean? Like,
Influenced so much comedy and movies and TV in general that show over the years has. So, and it's pretty awesome. I mean, the fact that the on stage talent is what kind of kept the gig, but by noticing the difference of when you guys were there and when you're not. I mean, that's pretty awesome to me. I think that's the coolest thing that I've heard you say so far. This whole thing was just like, yeah, we're doing this, but it's actually the people that aren't even listening to us can tell when we're there or when we're not, just based on how the people go in. And that's so cool.
Crazy. Like, we were there to fill a gap because it was so awkward during COVID, and they would have people in these like little pods, and they would put them in this like green room essentially. That's like an event space. So like we would go and play the vibe, and like I've done these parties, and you're like, well, like that dude's like 60, that dude's like 18. That's like a group of like 17 girls that are on like a bachelorette party. It's like so random, but they're all connected to different people. And that's how it was at first. So like we were getting like love from like the extended family members of either the cast or the people that are working on the show. And then like the security was like, yo, there's no fights, there's no anything. Like everything is just, now they're into it and they're supporting it. And then like the management from NBC, like they go through the pre, there's 2 shows every Saturday. They do like a practice show, which they record from, and then they do like the main show, which is like what you see live on TV. And then some of the bits that are recorded might be from the earlier show if it hits right and whatever. So like you actually play a party for one grouping of people. They go into taping. They do like a reset of the room, and then you play another party. When the first group comes out, the other one goes in, and then we're basically out at that point. We're not even there by the time the show is over. Like when 11 o'clock or 11:15 hits, when they're all in the studio, like we're already like loading out. So
Well,
it's just the power of entertainment. It's insane. You'll go in there like throwbacks today. We want to hear like, if you could play like something by like System of the Down at one point, and then like you have all these like iconic artists that are on there too. Oh, Eminem's here today, so like you might want to like lace a couple like Eminem tracks in there, and like then like the booking person comes through and they're like, we want more energy, like make it more clubby, and you're like literally in the middle of like a hip hop throwback set, and everyone's like standing on couches having a good time, and then it's like boom, right turn, like now you're into this like crazy set, and then honestly, now they're doing like 300 plus for each episode. So like it's a legit party now because COVID is still present, obviously, but it's not like restricted the way it was, right? So like you have all this like space to like literally flex and have a good time.
So to ask another question about the SCE talent, a lot of these guys came at the beginning and helped grow it for you, but how are you picking talent now? What's something you really look out for? You're looking for somebody that's unique.
I'm trying to look out for 2 guys like the 2 of you. I'm trying to import Fusamania and Drew Pierce to get on this Jersey level over here. That's what I'm trying to do. No, seriously, I think there's something I learned. I feel like the talent portion or the way you play is, for me, is expected. I expect you to be good at something, like almost alien-like at something. But for me, it's more about the core and the chemistry of the team. So like, I am more concerned with like bringing someone in that has the right mindset in terms of like where they want to go with their career or their life, or that brings like a positive impact to the emotional fabric of the team, right? And that's the most important thing, right? We want people to vibe in and to feel like a family. Like our dudes will like go to war for each other, and like that's not because they have to, it's because they want to. And everyone has each other's back for the most part. And that's like a special thing that we have at SCE. So for me, that supersedes talent, because like I know some insanely talented DJs that we brought in here that told me and promised me they could do whatever. And then just because you can rock a whatever club doesn't mean that you can handle a high end, event client, right? Because it's a total different space, and you can't play to like, oh, I play open format all the time, but like in reality, like open format is not just hip hop and dance or hip hop, Latin and dance. It needs to be like so much bigger than that. And like, the way that this business works, picking talent, for events, it really goes down to like what the client comes first always, right? And everyone understands that. And we try to allow the clients to have as much power in selecting the talent that they use over anything else. So we give them the options. These are all the people that are available. This is what the pricing is. Here's kind of where it's going to fall, whatever you want. If this one's too expensive, we have this option. They're really good. They're all really good. Pick out like who you like. Oh, go look at them up on social media, see what you find, see who you click
So
with, right?
so
And
so when a lead comes in, you take it and then you kind of say, "Hey, look at the site," and then pick who you like from that? Or is it well, a lot of people come in with a specific person in mind?
yeah, so like if someone come in, they're like, I want to work with Jason John. Well, Jason's not available. Sorry. Like, but sorry, Jason's not available, but we have and here's what they'll cost. Like, do you want to look at their thing? Like, what's important? Tell me a little. Like, we try to then either qualify that person or understand more about like what they're looking for in order to make the event successful, and then we pair them with the best option that's available that day, right? So like obviously that's more important to me than like the financial that they need for their events, because we offer people in different price points, right? Like I know if I'm going to have you guys here, like I know that you're capable of doing this, this, and this, but like at the same time, I know that your limitations are this, this, and this, and that being not because you're not capable of doing it, but because you're from, Southern California or Ohio, right? Like it's a different, like you might not understand the intricacies of all. I have some people that are like, dude, I love like the big events that you do, but like I'm not investing in anything beyond like my sound system and fucking up lights. Like that's all I want. So like that discount, like I'm not going to put them with someone that's looking for like this massive production that they can't produce if I can't provide the resource to fill that gap for them, right?
So music wise, you talk about, pairing these people with the right stuff. And I just know your style and I know what you push on these wedding people. You're doing mashups and remixes and really just taking the bar to another level. No one wants to hear the boring old wedding style anymore. And what's your train of thought behind how you're mixing live and just pushing pushing it forward, right? Bringing the club to a wedding.
Like if you were to ask any client, like if you were to ask anyone planning a party, corporate, wedding, whatever, they would say we want to have a great time. They expect you to know how to mix music, right? Like most DJs can or can't, whatever. That's a whole different conversation. But like the way that you play music, people are gonna say, well, I want something that like everyone can dance to. Or like, what does that mean? Because like my dad dances to some shit that like I'm not gonna dance to. But like, how do I make that music relevant to like a 28-year-old? And how do I keep my dad on the dance floor, right? Like, and that's like the thinking you have to do. And like, that's not an easy task. I mean, like, I think that I was heavily influenced by AM, right? Like, he was the first person that really pushed old music in front of younger people in a new way that like got people to almost experience something different. And I look at the people that have influenced my career without even knowing that man. Like he did so much for me because I studied his mixes. I studied what that guy did, right? And I like observed those videos and I'm like, this is like a little aggressive. But then like you start to dabble in that and you start to practice maybe scratching a little bit. Maybe you're playing a little bit more off. And like, like I feel like for me, my thought process is how do I push my parties to the edge and like hold them on that edge without pushing them completely off the edge. You know what I mean? Like, how do I push the limits? And like, that's just time and energy and being in this business. The longer you do this, the better you get at like reading a crowd, at observing what people are doing. When are people dancing? Are they looking for something else? Did the energy just fall flat? Like, why did it fall flat? Like, how are you going to get out of it? What can you layer? And like, by trial and error, no one's taught me how to do anything. Like I learned it, and I learned it by doing it. And I think that's the biggest thing. So for me, it's like, how do I keep it fresh enough to keep like the younger people in it? But how do I make it familiar enough to keep like Aunt Brenda and Uncle Steve on the dance floor the whole time? And like, I want them to feel like they're in that Zumba class that they do every Tuesday morning. But at the same time, I want them to have a good time. I mean, look at like when we went to that party we did at Foxtail at SLS in Las Vegas. Like, how many times did you and Warren both say like, I would never fucking play this? And like everyone's like, ah! Like, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? You know what I mean?
Well, I was just gonna say that me and Warren So anybody that doesn't know, me and Warren went and saw Jani, and he was doing was it the Wedding Wire party?
It was a Wedding Wire after party at the Wedding MBA. It was
Wedding
a couple
Wire
years
after
ago.
party. And me and Warren were just outside having a drink, and I look up and I'm like, bro, what the fuck is he playing? I look up and the whole place is losing their shit. And you're playing like some crazy, it was just, you were all over the place, and like it was, a super familiar drop into this, and you're playing like a club set, right? A wedding mashed club set. And it was amazing. Me and Warren were saying that because we're outside, we weren't witnessing the party and watching your energy and what you were bringing to it, which was just elevating it, right? I think so many DJs play shit safe, and that's what me and Warren kept saying is this guy is just saying these all wedding professionals, they don't want safe. They want fucking let's lose our shit, and you just brought it all out of them, and it was so awesome to see you making these wedding professionals who are, always trying to keep it so business and making them just wild the fuck out. It was dope.
We'll have to
Um,
drop a couple of pictures of that party into this video, so like we can
yeah.
like call the action of like people climbing on top of each other, and just so you can see like what
Well,
it what it is.
one of the questions I had that was from that party, that came in from the Instagram, was how do you integrate musicians with it? And I know at that party you had a violinist, and she was up there and she was playing. What do you do to go forward with that? Right? How are you practicing with them? Do you send them mixes? Are these just trained professionals? And you're like, hey, these are the songs. Do you? And I know everyone's different. I know there's no one answer, but
I don't think I think it's to understand that like one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand when they try to do what I call fusion, and that's like laying in live elements to a DJ show, is they just allow the person to play, and they just like and I want someone to have free reign to be creative, but it's super important that you set the stage properly. So like you literally frame it out and say, you are here to accent what is going on. I don't want you to overplay it. I don't want you to drive through it. Like we're gonna showcase you at different moments, but there's gonna be times where I ask you to pull back. And like I need you to pull back when you do that. And if you can't do that, then like this is not gonna work. And like I think the people that I typically work with, like at that event, I had Lydia Ansel, who's like a Las Vegas legend, playing that party with me. Like she is so powerful on social. She's done so many things that in so many like very high levels. And like we geek out or have geeked out over music conversations, but like she understands it. I brought her on stage with me at Mobile Beat where she like played with everyone. Like everyone that I bring in has to understand like what the expectations are. So I think that's probably the first thing. And two is to just lay it out in a way that like you give them an opportunity to shine, but like it all has to work well together and not overtake one another. Like the DJ can't overtake the musician, and the musician can't overtake. It's got to be like a collaborative partnership.
Totally, that totally makes sense. We had another question from the Instagram that we wanted to ask you, and this question came in from another DJ. They were curious on one of your most requested add-ons would be, like something that gets requested all the time.
Lighting is the number one thing that we do, hands down. And like when I say lighting, I'm not talking about like a tree with like LED lights on it that put dots all over the place. Like legit lighting, like tower lighting, like base plate, 2-meter truss, 2.5-meter truss, and like an intelligently controlled fixture, not something with like a board or a sound switch or any of that bullshit. Like a literal computer controlled lighting service. I believe that uplighting, anything that changes the visual or allows you to influence the music with visuals is what's incredibly powerful, and like just goes a very far way at events. That's our number one. We offer a ton of stuff and we make a ton of money with a lot of things, but like lighting by far goes out on almost every event unless it's at a property that already has lighting. Then that would be like theatrics.
I'm curious, how many of your events are you even allowing to not bring any lighting? Because that's part of your show at this point, right? I mean, if you're able to, that's like a club. If I go play a club and I know I'm going to be doing, it's a party scene, and I know I want to be doing drops and crazy stuff like that. If they don't have a lighting tech, dude, a lot of that shit just falls flat.
Yeah, you would
it's different. Yeah, me and Fuse
You
did.
said, like, I'm
Fuse
not
was out
available.
here. Yeah, Fuse was out here recently, and they had one of the clubs we played. It was no lights at all. That was the vibe of the club, but it was all hip hop, right? And that's kind of the thing is it was a little bit lower. It
Well,
wasn't
dude, I
what
went to
you're
that
bringing.
one during NAMM that you played, and there was no lighting tech or anything like that. But that was a great party vibe, and it was like a freaking
Right.
weird Wednesday night or whatever. And it was like you were playing like All American Rejects and like all like random. It was like a great time. I think you played Brown Eyed Girl, and then you're like the anthem by Good Charlotte. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on? And like these like 22
Let's
year
get
olds are
weird.
yeah, like shots, let's go, whatever.
Let's get weird. Well, it's a college town, so I don't know. I'm like you. I grew up with AM. He changed my whole perspective and trajectory on how I mix and everything like that. And I, you always just got to be taking chances and pushing boundaries. Nobody wants to hear fucking the same 5 songs over and over. I don't care if that girl comes up and requests it. Nobody wants to just hear that. It's boring.
I think Drew said it best a while ago, and I don't know who we were discussing it with, but nobody ever remembers a DJ because they played LMFAO shots. Nobody ever remembers because they played like the super hype song. They remember the set because you took a chance and you played something fucking weird, and that little bit of weirdness ends up being what they take home from the show, the part they remember, or if something happens theatrical wise at the show, or like there's a moment, that's the kind of stuff people remember. So that kind of ties into like what you were saying, with the lights and the visuals and all these things that help, make the party what it is, and
Yeah,
all these
like
things that you guys offer.
don't speak with a douchey DJ fake voice. Don't like call people adjectives. Like speak to people like you're literally talking to a friend. Like be authentic. Like those are real tangible things that anyone listening to this can incorporate into their daily hustle and will make them a better DJ, hands down. And like think about what you just said. Like the first time I saw Diplo ever play was in 2013. We went to One Oak in Las Vegas, and he came out and he played The Champ Is Here for like 5 minutes, and then he walked into the DJ booth and he ripped. And in the middle of that set, he got into his like trap shit and was going crazy. And I'm like, I remember I was standing there next to Tony and Jeff, and we're like, what the fuck is going on? He was playing Palans. Everyone's going back and forth, and it was like trappy. And then all of a sudden, it's like Kennedy Jones, Suavemente, and I'm like I never will forget. I was standing there like in the middle of a club in Las Vegas, and I was like, holy shit. Tony was like jumping up and down, and he was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And Jeff is, what? And I was just sitting there like, and he was just like mean mugging. The whole room was like out of berserko. And I was like, it was like one moment. But that little moment gave me confidence to do some crazy shit like the next time I played. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Everyone needs to take right turns, left turns every now and again.
And there's a tasteful way to do it, and there's a not tasteful way to do it. And knowing when and what part of the song to play is something we always talk about too.
Calculated risk. Calculated
That's right.
risk.
That's
it.
right.
You know.
Totally.
What's the number one like hated song in wedding professionals? Macarena. I dropped Macarena at 1:15 at Jewel nightclub in front of 1,800 wedding professionals, and they went berserko, and they literally were all doing it and singing it, and like Alan Berg and Sonny and Tim Chi have all used that in examples, as knowing your room and owning your crowd. I played the number one hated song in all wedding professionals, and I played it in a way that they fucking lost their mind. And like they had no idea it was coming. Mike Walter looked at me. He goes, "You like literally when I'm DJing, I look over. He goes, "You motherfucker! Only you would do that, you motherfucker." And Mike will say that. He literally was like, "God damn it!" Like, and it's a real deal. Like it happened. Like I did it with intention, but I didn't do it like carelessly. Like I did it like when they were in the middle of like the zone, and it like broke down, and like it was an edit. It was like the whole thing. But like
totally.
big,
It's how you play it. It's all
Yeah.
on how you play it, and you set it up, and you follow it up. You owned it. They were on the dance floor, and they trusted you, right? At that point, it doesn't matter what you do anymore. It's like, hey, I trust him. He's taking me here. The rest of the party's been fun. I trust him at this point. Fuck it.
So one of the things we're going to segue to real quick is just your YouTube channel and what you've been doing. We've touched on it a little bit. And I think you already said that kind of the goal with it is just, to help people learn knowledge that you've kind of already gained. And is there anything more that you're looking to do, or are you do you have like a thought process with it? Are you trying to release, a certain amount of videos a week, or or is it like a goal you've set to where you're doing like one a day, or what's going on with
My
that?
my goal for this year is to get to a subscriber count of 10,000. It's like some random goal that I put on myself, that like something that I literally set out to do. And I wanted to do a video a day until I got there. Obviously, like this week, kind of, I had a lot going on, so that didn't really happen. But I'm trying to take different things that like I experience in my real life and parlay that into lessons that can benefit our little world in a little way, right? And like, or a little world in a big way. So like everything about the content is like not, oh, I think you should do this, like without like backing it up with here's the reason why, or like here's something that I learned, or here's how I saved this, or this cost me a ton of money and I wish I did this, right? It's all of that. And then on top of it, it's like, hey, here's an event that I did, and this is what a $25,000 DJ package looks like at a wedding, and this is a $250,000 wedding in New Jersey. This is like what the outcome looks like, and like just showing people different things to see, because I feel like, like I've only learned how to grow by watching others in different ways. And I take ideas or inspiration and I've like remixed it to fit how I work or what we can do, or different technology. So I talk about tech, I talk about gear, I talk about business and marketing and like sensitive issues and like all these different things that like at some time or another, no matter if you're new to the game or you've been doing this for 20 years, like there's a lesson in it that you can sometimes just hearing someone talk about something that like you don't talk about every day, even if you know it, is good. Is good for like is good for the mind, is good for your business. It's like a friendly reminder. So like, my quest is just to release a lot of content to just build a community that is like all about making our industry not a bad stereotype that so many people associate with private event DJs, right? Like, how do I change that or do my part to change it? And like, one day I want to look back at it and be like, yeah, I was a DJ and I'm proud of everything that I did. And I'm very proud of my personal accomplishments. But like, if I don't give things back, like, what's going to inspire the person that's coming up underneath me to do that? Right. Like, so like, if I pay it forward, I'm hopeful that it'll just continue to like happen with other people in different places. And that's really like what it's all about.
Oh,
With the DJ booth, you helped push me forward. Honestly, after we hung out in Austin, I just kind of got to know you even better, and I saw the DJ booths. I went and ordered one right away. I'm like, dude, I need to change my shit. This is not acceptable anymore. And
Even like that whole DJ collective, dude, like that first one, I was like, I remember I literally called Brian. I would like to bring Drew Pierce. Like, I'm like, this dude is like doing private events and he's like super talented. I'm like, I think he has got something to share with this group of people. And Brian's like, okay, like, yeah, I'm going to call him. I'll talk to him or whatever. And like, I'm like, okay, I didn't even know Drew. I'm like, Drew, I'm going to send you a message. I want you to come to something. Like, you just try to come, like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it all happens. And like, I feel like
that
if I
simple
didn't
call changed everything though too, because I mean with DMS and just so many different things by Drew going to this, and I'll be honest, like I didn't really pay much attention to in like 2017 20, I wasn't paying any attention to stuff that was happening in private events. I just kind of wrote it all off because I thought anyone cool was doing the club stuff, and by all means, boy, is that not true. Like there are so many dudes doing cool stuff, you being one of them,
thank
in
you.
the
Yeah.
private event scene. And your parties, some of the parties you do are better than you could get in any club, and the things that you're doing are so unique. So that Drew coming to the collective has changed everything, and because of it, now I'm coming to the collective this year too.
Yeah, well, it's like there's so many things, and like if you look at just the conversation, like even with Drew and like with Kevin when that first happened, and I was like, yo, I'm like making all these. I've made remixes since the early 2000s, and I hadn't put them on anything because I was terrified that I was gonna get sued or someone was gonna come after me legally, and like I pulled everything back from all the sites that everyone was on, and like I didn't want to deal with any of that stuff. I'm like, I've got things to lose in this business, and then I'm like, and then I'm like, well, I have all this stuff that like I'm not even using anymore. Like, what do I do with it? And I was like, let's have a conversation. And we got on, and Kevin's like, yeah, all right, like, yeah, it seems good. And Drew's like, yeah, fine, and like that started it all. He's like, what else? And then it was like, well, what else can we do? Like, where else? And then it was like, you hook up with Warren, hook up with you, Fuse, hook up with like Jason B. And it's like, it's insane.
And
You know what I mean? It's like just awesome.
you were doing videos for us. You were doing the formula videos as well. So I've always looked at your content. I know, what you're putting out there and what you're bringing to the table for all the DJs. And I think, like you said, kind of in your rant, we all need to just come together and help grow this and pat each other on the back and let's raise that minimum wage. Let's get everybody up to making more money.
So good,
Totally.
man. So good. All good.
We're gonna we got a couple things we just want to ask real quick. We got 2 little more segments we're gonna do. One being some travel tips. So we got another Drew Pierce video here that I'm gonna play, and we want you to think about a couple travel tips that you want to tell people.
I wanna fly away.
Travel hacks.
So good.
So what are your travel hacks? I know you just got back from a trip. You're on the plane all the time. Luggage, neck pillow, charging brick. What's something that has to go in your bag? What's a travel tip that you can share with people that is just a must? TSA pre came up last week. Just examples.
Clear. You need clear. DJs need TSA pre-check and clear. If you want to move in and out of airport security fast, that's what you need. That's like the secret plug that I'm so blown away with how fast and efficient that clear membership is for $180 for like whatever it is. It's worth everything, especially if you're in LA. If you're going to stand in LAX airport trying to get through pre-check, like you need clear. You know what I mean? It'll just speed up your time. Hacks. I mean, I try to travel really as light as I can, but like you always have to account for something that's unexpected. Like last night, like I was out of clothes and like I got delayed and I had to stay over an extra night. And like, I think whenever you travel anywhere, you have to make sure that you have like the ability to fund something that's unexpected, whether that's like dinner or another night or a credit card or an extra $100 bill stuffed into the bottom pocket of your backpack, like whatever it is, like you need to always have something.
I say that to anybody who's thinking about traveling like abroad or anything. And I'm like, and here's the most important part. You better be able to pay double to get yourself back if you need to be, because things happen and people don't think about that ever. The what if I get stuck? And the airlines are like, tough shit, man.
Yeah, like there was a point last night. I'm like, if this storm comes through, like I'm gonna drive. Like, what is it gonna cost me to drive home, or can I Uber home from a 14-hour drive? Like, what does that look like? Like because I have to get home tonight. You know what I mean? Or tomorrow. And like, I don't know. I think you have to like figure out like what you do, what you're going to do. Make sure you have all the connectors, like keep everything organized, like keep everything in bags. I think that's the easiest thing. So like if you go, clear bags is everything. Like when you're going through security and if there's a problem and they got to like dig through your shit, like you have a bag that has all your cables or all your connectors and everything's like literally in like a Ziploc bag, as simple as that is. Like that will save you 10 minutes from like undoing everything and like laying everything out. Like they look at it and they'll be like, oh, okay. Like, and then away. You know what I mean? Like just like little things that go a long way. I think just think through what it is you're going to do. Make sure that you have every base covered. Always have like an SD card with like the music that you could ever be asked to play out. And like if you're popping up in a city and you have a friend that you're going to go see at a club, like make sure you have a set, like, or at least a universe of music that you could dig into and play. A main set, a warm up, a closeout. Like just have shit together. Like have your headphones with you or in-ear monitors, or like make sure you have a charge brick or a second charge brick or like whatever, all of that stuff, the cables, all of that stuff. Make sure you have everything that's working. And if it's an important piece, like a USB-C to USB cable, like USB regular, or like the dongle, like you need to have that just because you never know. You know what I mean?
Totally. All right, and we got one more thing we're gonna ask, and we got another video. So here we go.
Hey, yo, I need some new technology.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I'm not sure any of these are gonna stick or not, but we just got a new program and I was up way too late last night goofing off. So
Heyo, it's time for some new technology.
all right, hit us with your new tech. What's that Jani tech that we gotta have? I know you're a tech dude, so come on.
Yo, I'm a big fan of. I think there's. I don't even have it here. It's at home. There's this new mic. I'll have to give you the link to put in the bio description down below. It's this instant. It's this like Insta mic thing. It's a Bluetooth mic, Instacart mic. I don't know. It like bonds with your phone. So if you're using your iPhone, you can get like crystal clear audio. I'm also a big fan of the Go wireless, the Rode Go wireless 2 system for microphones. I feel like you could do so much with that. And then I think from a tech perspective, you need video things like the new GoPro camera, the new Insta 360 camera. Like if you're not using an iPhone 13, like spend the money, invest in the better, pro version of that. Like I feel like everything's gone a long way. If you're creating content and you're successful at creating content with an iPhone, get one of these like Ninja gimbals that like they're so small by DJI, but like you can literally like record like legit video content with it. Um, Portable lights. If you're investing in camera gear and you have the ability to invest in like legit camera gear, the Sony A7 IV camera is a monster. It's such a monster upgrade from the A7 III platform that like I've been using over the past couple of years. We just got the first one in for like my personal team, and that thing is a monster. It's just a beast. There's new lenses that are coming out, like from Sony and even from some of the third parties that are such quality glass, and the investment is not super expensive. So like you can get into the DSLR game with a high quality camera for like, $3,000 with like good glass, which was never obtainable before. And like people say like, well, what's the one thing if you could go back and do it again? Like I would invest as much money as I could into the best camera gear that I could ever buy, because like that will just get you so much further if you are going to stick with it and be consistent.
And you got me on some of this stuff too. We did a call like a while ago. I'm using some of the lights and stuff that you recommended, and just how you were setting things up. So yeah, everything that he's saying, I couldn't agree more with. And me and Drew have been doing more with video and investing more, just to try to capture. It's like you can never have enough. You can never have enough content, video, and it doesn't matter if it's the same place. It's like there's always new footage to be had. So I agree with everything that you're saying.
Yeah, just switch up the angles. Go on the other side of the DJ booth. Go on the other side of the room. Get someone to go stand with that camera in the middle of the dance floor. Like literally, you can get crazy and wavy with technology. Just learn how to use it. Like take the time and go to YouTube University and like figure out how to like push that gear to like the limit, and then just start messing with it everywhere you go.
Something I want to give you props on that I think maybe you could just tell all the other DJs that are listening is you're always in the pictures, right? There's a picture of your gear. You're in front of the fucking gear. Can you just tell these DJs to stop taking pictures of empty gear where no one's standing there? The importance of you being in front of that gear. And
I think like every DJ needs like 3 or 4 pictures every time they work. One is a result of what you do. So a pack dance floor. 2 would be a picture of what you look like at the event. So either you DJing, you standing in front of your gear, you on the microphone, you doing something that's relevant to like whatever you're being hired to do, whatever type of event it is. The third piece of gear I would give you is I would do a before picture of the room. So like you could say like this is what it was before the party started, this is what it was once the party started. And then if you're hired there to host someone's event, like if there's so like I would say like if it's a wedding, it's a couple. If it's a club and it's someone's birthday party, right? Someone that's celebrating something of any type of milestone importance, you need to have a picture of them celebrating whatever it is. Like if they're getting bottle service at the club, you want like the confetti popping off and then with the magnum in the air like crazy, or the girls with the flashers like on, or in the boat being like led over to the thing. If you're doing a wedding, have the couple behind the DJ booth with you, like laughing and smiling and dancing, or show them in the middle of the dance floor surrounded by like all the people in the room, old, new, whatever, or like show like Jeff did this great picture of like a grandmother DJing at the DJ booth, like so cool, so different. Like I did this one picture where like this grandfather was like holding up a flower girl. And I'm like, wedding so dope, your flower girl will rage, you know. And it's like she's like in the
Yeah.
air, like doing this like Titanic pose, you know. And she was like 3, you know what I mean? Like whatever, like just like try to pick out a subject and then like think about like how you're gonna use that to storytell. Because I think like storytelling with content is really like the key to like sending the message out into the world where it like will connect with people in a way that they can absorb it, right?
Do you have a checklist? I mean, you just gave some great tips. I think that's our checklist right there. But I'm wondering if you go off of any kind of checklist of stuff you're
No.
trying to get.
I just know like going into an event, like if I know like, oh, we're gonna do this, or oh, we're gonna do this, or oh, this couple is more this, or this couple is very this, like look out for this, or my guys know where I'm going with music. They can feel where I'm going because I'm not like it's like because it's not the same set all the time, but like they can feel where I'm pushing the room and they know like I'm about to go in and like they'll get in position like, all right, he's gonna fucking lay down. Like right now, I'm gonna go on the other side of the room and just see what happens, you know, like and all of a sudden like sparks are going off and everyone's hands are up in the air and it's like, yeah, I just went from like here to here. You know what I mean? Like so I think it's just that comes with time. I don't have a shot list. I think I should make one. That would be like a great YouTube giveaway. You know, like
I think that's a great new one that you should do. 100%. I think that should be a YouTube video. Seriously.
So we just want to say thank you for taking the time to come on the show with us today and dedicate 2 hours of your busy day to us. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate
Big
you guys
fan.
having me, man. I'm glad we could do it finally. I listened to Joe Rip the other day. I thought that was great. I was in Charleston, I think, when I got that. Joe's like, I think I talked about you in this thing. You should listen to it. So I like listened to it. I'm like, that dude, he's so funny. You know, I love that.
Yeah,
man.
he shouted out that you were involved with making the Evolve 50s white. That was your push.
The Evolve speaker I helped with a lot too, believe it or not, as a whole.
Yeah.
And we helped bring it to market, which was really cool. But yeah, shout out to Evie for sure. And those speakers are fresh. We debuted that at Mobile Beat on the stage. It was like, who? I'm like, you guys need a white speaker, bro. I don't even like white speakers. I'm like, but you need one. Like, you should have that. You know.
I like that you push that forward. See, this is why you guys need to be checking out his YouTube channel because he's pushing shit forward without
Makes
even
things
realizing
happen.
that. Without even realizing, you pretty much made the whole white equipment thing a reality.
I wanted it for ceremonies. That's what I wanted it for. I was like, this is like I wanted it more for ceremonies because I'm like, I'm not like a firm believer of white speakers during parties, but I'm like, so many people are using white DJ booths, like it'll look really nice. Like it really will look nice and minimal, right? And like I just thought it would play well. And they listened and Mike was like, okay, I'll see what we can do. And then I was like, hey, we got the first one coming. It's yours. Like you can have it. And I'm like, wait, what? And he was like, you're gonna bring it on stage. You're like, talk about it. So I like photos of it from Mobile Beat, which was pretty fun.
That's
Pretty
awesome.
There's so much we could talk about. We'd love to have you back on again. Anything you want to leave just before we let go?
If you go to Jani, JANI.info, you can pretty much find all of my content there. Mixed content, video content, access to the platform. Even DMS, I believe, is on there too. So if you just go to jasonjani.info or just find me on Instagram at jasonjani, that's the link in my bio. And there's a lot of information there. Search me anywhere. SCE2, SCE Event Group. You know, we have a lot everywhere. So I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you guys checking this out. I appreciate both Drew and Fuse. And cool to kick with you guys for a little bit.
Let's get him up to those 10,000 YouTube followers. So go over there and follow and subscribe to his channel. And I think that's going to be it.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you rate and review the podcast on Apple. Make sure you're subscribing on YouTube. And if you're on Spotify listening, make sure you download too. Also, make sure you follow Jason Jani on all social media. We just want to say thank you guys for listening and thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you next time.
Peace.